Thank you for joining us for another riveting episode of Behind Breaking Bond. Andy Kahn is MIA again, so joining us is Sydney. Introduce yourself, Sydney.
Hi, Sydney Zuiker.
Okay. With Crime Stoppers.
With Crime Stoppers.
Also, someone we haven't seen in a while. Introduce yourself, Doug.
Doug Griffith. I'm the president of the Houston Police Officers Union.
I got it.
Can we start again? I'll do it again. I'll do mine again.
Okay.
I'm Sydney Zuiker. I'm the Senior Director of Programs and Special Projects at Crime Stoppers. How about that? Now we have our
so
title.
much better. So much better.
Yes.
And she's here to make us look better.
Oh, I don't know about that. You introduced yourself better than I did.
We need all the help we can get.
Hey, I got to start with the story that I did about, to kind of bring everybody up to speed, the Sunset Advisory Commission, they do an audit, right, of state agencies every year. They did TDCJ. In this audit, they discover that there are 5 inmates that were medically released, supposedly under intense supervision. Now, this is for, if I understand this correctly, this is for inmates who are basically, they're terminally ill, right? Isn't that
Correct.
how you understand it?
Yes, that's what it's my understanding that they have to be in very serious shape to where it could cost them their lives if they don't get this medical treatment. So they sent them out to get this medical treatment under close supervision, and then they disappear.
They're gone.
They're gone. Nobody knows where they are. This close supervision obviously failed.
It's not real intense supervision, right?
Obviously not.
And you would think that, okay, you would have to go to a relative's home, some sort of a caretaker, right? Or go to a facility, a nursing home, something like that. And you would think that the state would obviously know, okay, this is where they are. We know they're there. Some of these guys have been gone for more than a year, and TDCJ says, well, we don't know where they are.
And that's a real problem. I mean, you start looking at it and you're trying to figure out, okay, what are they in jail for? Is it violent? Should they, or was it death row inmates? Because I know Carl Wayne Bunchen was pulled off death row to go take some therapy before he come back and execute him, which is just awkward to me. But why are we not getting the information on these guys? That's the big question.
Yeah, what do you think about that? I guess the state wants to make the argument, well, these are they're medical cases, so they're going to fall under HIPAA, which means we cannot tell you. But then Andy Kahn, I think, would make the argument, well, now you're a wanted fugitive, so forget the whole HIPAA situation.
Well, first of all, HIPAA only covers you talking about their medical condition. You don't have to talk about their medical condition to say that they are not in jail, that they have walked away.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with HIPAA, and I want to know why we aren't getting the information as to who these people are and put their mugshots out there so we can try to find them and get them back where they belong in jail.
I think one thing that this situation has uncovered with the Sunset Commission, that whole program probably needs to be really scrutinized and looked at, because again, it on the surface it sounds good, it's sort of a nice thing to do. Okay, we don't want to see this person die in prison. Their days are numbered. This is what we're going to do. But now when you end up with 5 that you don't even know where the heck they are, that's a real issue. Wouldn't you agree?
How do we know they didn't have a miraculous recovery and they're just roaming the streets right now committing crimes that we just don't know about?
And what if they somehow abuse the system to make it look like they had some sort of terminal illness when maybe in fact they didn't have that?
Correct. Or they could be deceased right now. We don't even know it.
Right. And to me, that's disturbing too, right?
Yes. The family
okay,
needs to
if
know
all
this.
5 of them are dead, why doesn't the state know that?
Absolutely.
Right?
It's crazy to me that why would you try to hide it under HIPAA? It just does not apply in this situation. So it's just awkward to me.
All right, we're going to move on. Sydney, tell us about, there's a pretty big deal coming up, a ceremony. Tell us about that.
At Crime Stoppers. Yes, so in December, every single year for a lot of decades, so many decades, we have done a tree ceremony for surviving family members of homicide. So if you all who watch the show remember, in September we do an event that is really recognizing those lost in Harris County over the past year to homicide. It's very It's very much a memorial. We did a candlelight vigil this year. It's very somber. This event is really for anyone that has lost a loved one anywhere in Harris County or not over the years. And it's much more celebratory. We have Christmas trees, holiday trees that you can come and bring a ornament that represents your loved one and hang it on our tree. We actually now have 4 trees. We started with 1.
A lot
We
of
now
people
have
have
4.
pictures. They'll have a picture of their loved one.
Yes, and if you don't have an ornament that you think well represents your loved one, we have paper ornaments available at our office where you can fill out their name and some information or whatever you want to put, and then place it on one of our trees. So our tree ceremony will be December 14th from 12 to 2 at Crime Stoppers. Everyone's welcome, even if you just want to come and show support.
That would be a week from this Saturday?
Sunday.
Sunday, a week from this Sunday.
From this Sunday.
And what time is it again?
12 to 2. So come, we'll have cookies and hot chocolate, and we'll have a little music.
Anyone that hasn't been, it's a very humbling experience.
It
really
is.
It's y'all do a very impressive job over there at Crime Stoppers, taking care of these families, and I've been blessed that I haven't had any of my family killed. Close friends, obviously, on the department.
Yeah.
But you know, to see what y'all do with those families is very impressive, and I thank you for doing that.
And you sort of, it's an opportunity for everybody to remember not only their loved ones, but other folks that have passed.
Yeah,
during
and
the
it's
last
a
year.
very great place, especially I think if you've lost someone this year. It's a good entry point to finding some support. There's a lot of people there who have come to this event for a very long time and have walked that same path. It's not a path that anyone wants to be on, but you do need support, even if you're 10 years out. And so I really encourage you to come, and I encourage the community to come. Our staff, who every year is new, we encourage our new staff to come to this event in particular, because it really is a good place to show support, to learn, and to be there as a comfort to those who have gone through something that we hope we never have to. We'll have the ability to take a picture in front of the tree if you'd like to take a picture with your ornament. We'll have that, and you can take it home with you that day. So come.
And I'm sure it means a lot to people when you can talk to someone who is in that situation too. They actually do know what it's like, because you don't know what it's like to lose a child unless you actually have to go through that.
Have lost a child. Yeah, and like I said, our September event can be a hard entry point for people. It's very, very somber, and often there's a lot more tears at that one. Not that there aren't ever tears at our tree ceremony, but again, we try to make it more uplifting. Holidays are a really hard time for anyone that's lost a loved one, especially to homicide. So we will keep all of the trees up at our office until January. So you're welcome to come and pay your respects to those lost, or just see the trees throughout the season. You just come and you ring our doorbell and say why you're there, and we're happy to let you in.
And it is really something to see. There's no doubt about that. I mean, I've never seen anything quite like it. And like you pointed out, it's just growing. There's just more and more people now.
Yeah, I mean, when you have 500 plus homicides every single year, I mean, we probably should add even more trees than we have every single year. So
and that's sad. That's actually sad. That's,
Yeah.
you know, we shouldn't have to have families dealing with this
No.
every single year.
Every single year. And even though we've seen, you know, a bit, and I even hesitate to say this, but a bit of a plateau in homicides this year compared to last year, we're still at a multi-decades high in our homicide numbers.
Yeah.
Which is really a horrible thing.
Yeah. It hasn't been like this since the early to mid 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In reality.
I remember when I first started, I was a radio reporter here in Houston, and like in the early 80s, and Houston was the murder capital of the United States. And from a news standpoint, you wouldn't even, there were so many murders that you would only go make a scene if there was something that
Odd about it.
Right, that you knew going in that made it stand out. But if it was just, you know, some person is shot and dead in a ditch, you didn't even go there. I mean, you'd have to have more information before you would even go to the scene, because sadly it wasn't that much news that we were having all of these homicides.
Well, I was at Southeast at the time, and that's where Homicide was stationed. So I ran a lot of warrants with those guys out there, and it was definitely different then than it is now. But we still see the violence every day in the city of Houston. Part of the issue with Crime Stoppers and what y'all do is y'all see everything.
Yeah.
Y'all see Harris County. We have, 37 agencies within the city limits of Houston.
Right.
Yeah.
They see all those agencies. There's fatalities in all those as well. So, you know, people can talk about Houston stats or Harris County stats, but when you look at the overall, they're pretty high.
Yeah.
They're pretty high, and what has been so astonishing to me, and what Andy and I constantly talk about, is we have to look at aggravated assault numbers too, because so much of our medical technology has made it such that maybe someone survives today that they wouldn't have, but they were shot and they're in the hospital, and thank goodness that we have life-saving
that
technology.
makes a huge difference here, because you look at Ben Taub. That's
I know.
probably one of the best trauma centers in the United States.
We have 3 of the best trauma centers in the nation right here.
Yes.
Maybe in the world.
Absolutely.
Possibly,
Yeah.
yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
Between Herman, Ben Taub, and LBJ,
Yeah.
they do a phenomenal job getting these ladies and gentlemen in that are shot and saving their lives. If we didn't have that kind of medical care in the city of Houston, our homicide rate would be much greater.
Yeah.
Well, and what's crazy to me is to look at what law enforcement is reporting as a homicide versus how many criminal cases actually get filed for homicide, and then what our medical examiners are saying, because most often our medical examiner is saying a much higher number for homicide than either of the other 2 categories, because people get shot, get stabbed, get whatever, sent to the hospital, and then they die in the hospital.
Yeah.
Right.
But then those numbers are hardly discussed, hardly reported.
Right.
So
Now understand there's a case made for every single every single one of those, and it's just how do we go about capturing the numbers properly?
Yes.
Now the feds have tried to do that with NIBIN and a better calculation, but you have some cities still that refuse to send their numbers over because they don't want it to look bad for their city.
Yeah.
Well, that's BS too.
Right.
You've got to put the numbers out there and let your citizens know what's going on.
And you can't get to the root cause of anything if you're
Absolutely.
unwilling to look at the actual data, the actual information, and get there. So, I mean, we're seeing it kind of across the board in the strain for services, for victim services broadly. I mean, we started with our victim impact statement video project in 2021, which basically allows victims to come record their story in video format, and then we submit that to the parole board to view anytime. Really, it started with a couple who was aging, and their son's offender won't come up for parole till likely they're no longer here. So we started with them. We've recorded 45 so far, but this year alone we had such a long waiting list of people, and kind of have started to attract attention from across the state of people who want that, because 1, if they're aging, they might not be there, but 2, we are starting to see people who maybe don't want to have to travel in person to retell their story time and time and time again. And that's people maybe in domestic violence situations, human trafficking, I mean, even loved ones of homicide. I mean, how many times do you want to recount your kid's murder? I mean, you just don't want to do it.
Right.
So we've had, I think, 7 of those videos used in actual parole hearings, parole denied in all of them. So that's a pretty good correlation.
And I think the parole board, they listen to victims what they want to say and how they want to hear how their lives were impacted by what somebody did, or why someone was convicted of a crime like murder.
Absolutely. And, when you're looking at parole, and there's, much discussion about parole right now and upcoming legislation that will be filed and is already currently being worked on for parole, an inmate gets an entire package that's created for them that goes before the parole board of all the classes that they've attended, their behavior, any violations that they've had, basically a whole package. And victims don't get the same courtesy.
Right.
They may have the opportunity to go. I mean, by law, they do have the opportunity to talk to the parole board, but they might get the notification and it's not a time where they can go, or they don't have the funds to travel to do it. So this is one way that victims can have that story told in a way that's more than a letter, because you can always submit a letter, but I mean,
It's not the same
It's
reading
not the
it.
Right.
same.
Yeah.
The-
There's more impact when you see right.
The
You
emotion.
see someone, you hear it coming out of their mouth. It's
and I mean, our production team has donated so much of their time and talent for this to make sure that that emotion is really felt. It's a really hard day to record that with someone, and we really prep them on, hey, this is gonna be hard, but hopefully this is the last time you have to do this.
Now, if somebody is interested in doing that, how would they go about contacting y'all?
You can there's a contact form on our website, crime-stoppers.org, or you can email me at S as in safe, C as in community, and P as in program, scp@crime-stoppers.org, and I'll get you all the information you need.
Hey, one of the things I want to talk to you about, and maybe it's not, but it seems for some reason when you look at news stories, it seems like road rage. We're seeing more road rage. Are we? Do you think?
I think we saw the height of it during COVID when it was, we had one or two a week around the city.
God.
We have developed a task force that went out and basically looking for aggressive drivers and trying to deal with them. We've had some success in that, but we still have a problem with it. And I think a lot of it has to do with just people cannot be patient in traffic. Today's society, they want everything now.
Yeah.
Well, when you're sitting an hour in traffic, there's no such thing as now. And I think people get frustrated. Someone cuts them off, even if it's an accident. We've seen it. They come off, they honk the horn, say sorry, yet somebody pulls out a gun and starts shooting.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. And if you cannot control your emotions like that, then don't get on the roads.
Do you think the best thing to do is just don't? My attitude has always been I don't react. I will not react at all. I mean, because I'm afraid that someone's going to pull out a gun and. So
I'm the
nothing.
girl that harps on my parents and sister, do not honk. If you're in the city, do not honk.
No, I won't.
And see, I'm just the opposite. I am.
Of course.
If sometimes you need to honk at people and let them know, hey, look, I'm here in this lane. Don't be coming over here.
Yeah.
Or, and they get all offended, but that's a them problem, not a me problem.
But now I'll do that. If I see somebody's coming over and I think they're going to hit me, then I'll honk.
Oh, it's funny because Ray.
Yeah.
Ray gets on to me all the time. Don't honk. And I'm like, man, if you don't tell them they're stupid, they're going to continue to be stupid. Don't do that. You got to let them know. Don't do that.
See, we have differences in personalities.
Yeah,
here. I'm like,
just,
okay, I'll just be over here.
I like to think I'm a happy-go-lucky guy. Hit the horn. Tell them don't do that. Then keep on going.
The impatience doesn't make any sense to me because I'm from Austin. The traffic in Austin is horrible. But people aren't pulling out guns and shooting people at the same rate that they are here.
Not the same rate, no. But
it's
they still
crazy here.
Yeah, it is.
And the traffic just gets worse. Don't you think?
Absolutely.
I mean, we used to. There really was like a morning rush hour that was sort of like 6:37 to 9. Then it was over, and then in the evening, maybe starting at 4:30, 6:37, it's done. It's like
it's all day.
It's all day long.
It's like 2 p.m. rush hour.
Right.
What is that?
You can't go to the Galleria area any time of the day.
No.
Any time of the day.
It's always
is ridiculous.
No.
You made an interesting point when we were talking earlier about one of the things that when you look at police response time, you have to bring in the fact that you all are also battling traffic, and then you've got drivers that aren't real sure what to do when you got the lights on and the siren going. They just sort of freeze, right?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because you're trying to get somewhere quick.
Yeah.
You got your lights, siren going, and instead of pulling the right, they just lock up. Vapor like, and then you're like, you got to go around them. You got to figure out what you're going to do, and the old days of where kids sat in class and learned how to drive and what to do are over.
Yeah.
They're self-taught at home. The parents teach them now. They don't know what they're doing. That's why we had to have a law that says you either get over or slow 20 below the speed limit when you're passing an officer on the side of the road. Nobody abides by that.
Yeah.
They don't.
I mean, I think my driver's ed was like a little book manual.
We had a book. We all had a book.
But I think then my parents just signed off on it. Like, I don't even think that I went to a class or anything.
No. Most don't nowadays. Well, you're young. That's why.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I'm
I
old.
don't think
when I went
did.
through, we had
so
to go.
Maybe I'm the problem.
Yeah, we had to go sit in a classroom half a day.
It's Sydney's generation.
It's me.
Yes.
I'm the problem. It's me. No.
But seriously, when you start looking at things like police response times, you have to factor in the fact that we've got 677 square miles.
Right.
We're low
That's
on
crazy.
officers. And every time you go anywhere in that 677 square miles, there's traffic. So
What
you
is
know,
our officer count right now?
right now we're at 5,100.
Okay.
Out of that, 3,800 are straight police officers. And out of that, probably half of them are on some kind of investigative duty or desk duty. So you have about 1,500 to 1,800 that are on the streets, and cross that across 3 shifts in 677 square miles. We don't have.
And our population is what?
Yeah. How do we compare to other large cities?
So if you look at Philadelphia, we are ahead of them on the number of people and the mileage that we cover. They have around 7,500 officers. Go to Chicago, they claim to have 250 more people than we do. I mean, 250,000
yeah.
more people than we do. Now, I think since the open border and stuff, we may be creeping up on them or maybe even surpass them. But they have almost 11,000 officers.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they still have issues there.
Yeah.
So I would like to think our guys are working their butts off and doing a great job at with what they have to work with.
How many do we need?
We probably need about 7,000 to 7,500. And we're right now at between 51 and 5,200.
How do we get there,
Yeah.
do you think?
Well, the sad part is we're losing officers daily to other agencies that pay more.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have to do something to, the mayor, we're about to sit down in negotiation. And if you look, Austin just got a 28% over 5 years, and they're already 12 to 15% ahead of us.
Yeah.
Fort Worth, same thing. They got 21% over 4 years.
Didn't Austin
and
defund and now they're refunding basically
Correct.
what they? Yeah.
Correct. They lost 400
Yeah.
officers.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they were only a 1,600 man department.
mean,
They're
they
down to
didn't
about
have-
1,200 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they've got to find a way. So they thought, now they did lose a lot of rights with that. They had to sign away a bunch of stuff to get that contract, because they are a little different there. They have a lot of activists that have
Yeah.
kind of bullied their city council.
Yeah.
We don't have that issue here. Again, I think we've done it right over the years. The entire reason we have a majority minority department is because of our contract.
Yeah.
Unlike other agencies that they take the top civil service test people and put them in the class, we let them pick whoever they want, and then we give the test at the end.
You just have
So-
to be competitive when it comes to pay.
Absolutely. And right now we're probably 15%, as we sit right here today, we're about 15% behind Austin, probably 13 or 14% behind Fort Worth. We're barely behind Dallas and San Antonio. They're not even in the picture.
So
they're
say you
still a
got
little bit
those
lower.
salaries up. How long would it take to
We're still-
recruit, onboard, train to the number that you're thinking?
Well, if we can stop losing people,
Yeah.
that's a net gain. We've already lost 75 this year with 10 years and under.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
So they're obviously not retiring. They're going
Yeah.
to other
departments,
agencies
yeah.
or other jobs in the private sector because they can get paid more and not scrutinized
And
as
you
much.
still have that too, though, don't you? You've got people that they've done their 20, 25, 30 years, and it's like, okay, I'm done,
Absolutely.
I'm retiring.
And you've got, retirements are around 230 a year. That's the average. So to catch up, we've got to have enough classes to cover that, then try to get ahead.
Well, and you
Yeah.
can't just replace a tenured
Right.
No.
officer with a cadet.
And like I said, we just lost 2 that graduated 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
One went to Forster PD and one went to DPS.
Hey,
it's
if
just
somebody is interested in becoming HPD, or they know somebody that is, what do they do? How do you get more
Well,
information?
first of all, you can go to hpdcareer.org. It'll show you what you need to do to apply. We have some ideas that we have pushed forward to the mayor and to the chief to get kids out of high school
yeah,
and bring them on.
Right.
I don't want them carrying a gun.
right.
I want them to get into the department.
Yeah,
they can learn to take
go down the
reports.
law enforcement career
Right.
path. Yeah,
They can. There's a lot of things they can learn. The culture of policing, the history of policing, the ways you do it right. You indoctrinate yourself into law enforcement,
Yeah.
and then you fast track them. When the day they turn 20 and a half, you can fast track them into the next academy class.
That's an
And then
excellent
That's a
idea.
You have-
really
you
Hey,
creative
we got to
solution. Yeah.
wrap it up. I want to thank both of you for joining me, and remember to be kind to yourself and everyone else. Thank you.